What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I hope the form is good. I hope the form is well. And this is the club review show. We're going to be looking back at all the weekends, big talking points, big discussion points, big moments from the weekends, All Ireland Club Football and Hurling Championships. We're doing this one live as well, so feel free for anyone watching to get your comments in as we go along. Definitely a lot of action to run through, definitely a lot of games to discuss. A lot of talking points, as always. So if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would kindly appreciate it. Helps the channel grow, helps the channel reach more people as well, which is what we want to do. And especially, one of the very few GA channels that, probably cover club football and club hurling as extensively as we do here. So, yeah, if you could subscribe and leave a like, I would appreciate it. And also, a bit of an announcement as well. I've decided to set up a second YouTube channel. I've had the idea for a while, actually, given I suppose it's fairly obvious enough, my passion for Gaelic games and hurling and Gaelic football. And that was obviously one of the main reasons why I decided to set up this channel. And as you'll see on screen there, I've decided to set up a second YouTube channel, mainly just to look at, all other sports related topics. Soccer, mixed martial arts, boxing, rugby, a little bit of everything, to kind of work alongside the channel I've had. So that's the channel name on screen there. You can see 2 videos up there already discussing Mohamed Salah of Liverpool, Jack Grealish as well, getting booed there by the Man City or by the Aston Villa fans the other week. So yeah, I'll leave a link down below, and I'll leave a comment after the stream as well for some of you lads to go and check it out. Nothing's going to change on this channel or anything like that. Still going to keep the videos going as always. Still going to keep the consistency of club reviews, club previews, as well as some county season previews that will be starting a little bit later in the week as well. Just came into a bit more free time, so I said, you know what, I watch as much soccer as anyone else. So I said, you know what, let's make a second channel. Just be a few topical videos, 2 or 3 uploads per week. So yeah, if you could head over to that channel and subscribe, I would appreciate it. As I said before, I'll leave it in the description down below for some of you lads to go and check it out. But I suppose we'll crack on with the weekend's club action, and I suppose we have to start with that very dominant victory on the Saturday from Kilcoo. They beat Ramor United, or Ramor United, I should say, 3-13 to 1-8. What a very, very impressive performance here by Kilcoo. Like, they weren't at their flattering best. They weren't at their brilliant best. And certainly Ramor United had a couple of very good moments in the game. Sean McAvoy's early goal. At the start of the second half, they kicked a couple of unanswered scores, and you thought maybe Ramor United are starting to come back into the game a little bit. But, to be fair to Kilcoo, with the quality that they have in that side, the likes of the Brannigan brothers, and of course, you've got Aidan Brannigan in there coming off the bench. Eugene Brannigan stood out, not just because he was wearing a tracksuit, but he was also doing a very good job in at number 7 and dropping in and around midfield at different stages in the game. And like, Kilcoo just looked like a very, very well-rounded side. I mean, to come out with an 11-point victory over this Ramor United side, a bit of a statement win in many ways, because I don't think Ramor United were that bad. I don't think they were that poor or anything like that. I think Kilcoo were just so well organised and so well composed going forward. It's kind of mad to think that they finished with 11, an 11-point victory, like just a resounding victory. You're looking at Sheelan Johnson in there, very, very impressive. Ryan Johnson, of course, as well. Calum Doherty looked very impressive at different stages in the game as well. Conor Laverty, very experienced footballer in that team, getting a couple of scores as well. So for Kilcoo, putting Ramor United to the sword the way that they did was impressive. And, probably the big turning point was that second goal. I think that was the moment that really killed the game for Kilcoo. Ramor United, I think it was James Brady who hit the post just a couple of moments before that. He had a big chance. And, if that goes in the back of the net, you're thinking maybe Ramor United could have pulled off the shot. But I think Kilcoo just had a little bit more and a little bit more experience as well. Like, you could look from watching this game, you could tell that Kilcoo have been in this Ulster Championship year in, year out. They're the experienced side. They know their players. They know how to play together. Experienced management in there as well. Used to coming through these types of games. Whereas for Ramor United, you could tell this is, first real chance for them coming through Ulster. And this was probably a game a little bit too soon. But I think they can take a lot of confidence, to be fair. I really do. I think they can take a lot of confidence from the victory. And just looking through some scores on the day. So we'll look at the Kilcoo scores here, first of all. So you can see there, Ryan McAvoy with a point. You also had Anthony Morgan with a point, Eugene Brannigan with a point, Dylan Ward on the score sheet as well. Caleb Doherty with 1-3, probably my man of the match personally. He was absolutely brilliant. Drom Johnston with 2-2. Sheelan Johnson with a point, and Paul Devlin with 3 points in there as well. So, Jerome Johnson was very impressive, wasn't he, as well? Like 2-2, got that second goal, and, you felt like that was it. That was the game right there. Game, set, and match, game over, and there really was no way back for Ramor United from that point. Some Ramor United scores there. So James Brady with 2 points, Colin McGuire with a point as well, and Sean McAvoy with 1-4. And certainly you'd have to say, from a Ramor, as the JMac podcast says there, Ramor. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I slipped up again. What can you do? It's one of them things where, you have your way of pronouncing things, and you just can't get it out of your head, unfortunately. So I'm probably going to call them Ramor again at some stage along the way. But Ramor United, and Sean McAvoy, to be fair to him, I don't know a whole deal about him. That might be a question for you, John. Maybe I'll ask you about it later. But like Sean McAvoy looks like a very good player. I don't know a lot about him, in all honesty, but maybe he could come into the Cavan senior football side at some stage. Like, looks like a fairly decent player in there. And to finish the day with 1-4 as well, and getting that goal early on in the second half, I thought that was very impressive. It really, really was. Moving on from that, we'll have a look at Derrygonnelly Harps. I mean, what a victory this was for them over Dromore. 116 to 13 points. Didn't see the game, but I've gone back and looked at some match reports and whatnot, and looked at some highlights. And geez, this is one hell of a shock. This is a huge shock here for Derrygonnelly Harps. I mean, to come through this game and I suppose win it in extra time, and obviously scoring a dramatic late score as well. What a result. And you just have to love club football at times, don't you? Because you get results like this that just come up every now and again, and it really does blow your mind in many ways. And I think it probably proves that I suppose it's easy to fall into the narrative sometimes when you're looking at club championship games and fall into the narrative of the fact that, Tyrone are the county side. Tyrone are the All Ireland champions at inter-county level. They're going up against a Fermanagh club-based side. You'd surely fancy the Tyrone club-based side. And you see that a lot in some of the different club championship games, where it be a Mayo club team going up against a Sligo team, a Dublin team going up against a Longford team. And you see shocks happen all the time. And I think, this is probably another one of those big shocks where Derrygonnelly Harps have, pulled off a massive shock. And Conal Jones, 65th minute, injury time, gets a score, levels up the game. And even being down to 14 men as well, from what I heard, for the majority of the second half and extra time, to still have that, I suppose, tenacity to come through the game, I think is it's extremely impressive. I think from a Derrygonnelly point of view, and I was just looking through some of the scores, some of the notable scores in there as well. Like, you had Ryan Jones who chipped away with a point, Stephen McGuillan with a goal in there as well, Shane McGuillan with a point, Conal Jones with 6 points, 5 of which were from frees. And for Dromore, Noel Sludden was kept scoreless, so that probably tells you a lot of the good work that Derrygonnelly done. And McCusker in there with a point, Emmett McNabb with 3 points. So, very impressive stuff from Derrygonnelly Harps to come through that victory. And they play Clann Eireann next, which, you'd have to say Clann Eireann, they're kind of going under the radar, aren't they, a little bit of Armagh, I think if this was Crossmaglen Rangers, I think a lot of people would be looking at, they'd be saying, okay, Crossmaglen Rangers up against Derrygonnelly Harps. Crossmaglen would be the favourites. I mean, Clann Eireann are going to be the favourites for this game as well. But, you would have to say that, Clann Eireann they're going under the radar a little bit, in my opinion. As you can see there, 2-14, the 17-point victory over Kickhams Creggan of Antrim. And what's actually interesting about this game as well is that Kickhams led by 7 early in the second half. They were comfortable. They were looking really, really good. They were on top in the game. And, it took a big effort for Clann Eireann to turn it around. And it's not the first time that we've seen this from Clann Eireann. They turned things around against Crossmaglen Rangers in the second half. And, with players in there like Conor Turba, Tiernan Kelly as well, Daniel McGee, who was, extremely impressive in there as well. You'd have to say that they're looking really, really good at this moment in time, Clann Eireann. Going up against the Derrygonnelly Harps side now in the semi-finals, there could be a real shock there, or maybe Derrygonnelly pull off another shock. But, fair enough, you would look at the two teams on the other side of the draw, Kilcoo and Waddy Graham's Glen. You'd look at that game, whoever comes through that is probably favourites for Ulster and probably the All Ireland. But I think they were very, very impressive in my opinion. Clann Eireann, they were looking really, really good in there, and it's going to be interesting to see Clann Eireann going up against going up in that semi-final against Derrygonnelly Harps. And as the JMac podcast says there as well, Derry aren't gone yet. It's a huge shock, like a huge surprise, and certainly one that I wouldn't have seen coming. Obviously, Derrygonnelly Harps have looked very, very dominant coming through from Anna there for a good couple of years. But I haven't heard of them doing too well on the Ulster Club stage. So, like a big, big victory nonetheless. Sean Byrne Football Channel says, next year, can you react to a few Wicklow Senior Football Championship games? I gladly will. Gladly will make videos on the Wicklow games if they're on TV or if they're broadcastable or watchable or whatever. I'll definitely gladly watch a couple of games, and certainly we'll get on to Blessington's game against Naas a little bit later. But Clann Eireann anyway, just to finish up, comfortable, comprehensive victory in the end for them. Very very impressive stuff, getting that victory 214 to 17 points. I suppose moving on, we'll have a look at the Connacht Club Senior Football Championship. Well, I suppose first of all, actually, it is worth pointing out. I obviously did a live match reaction for Waddy Graham's Glen's victory yesterday over Scottstown. Of course, 118 to 12 points. What a very good performance, of course, from Waddy Graham's Glen. So I'm not going to speak too much about that game, but there was a comment coming in here from a subscriber of the channel, Porrick Farrelly. He said Rory Beggan was a liability to Scottstown. He comes out too often. It is up to the forward to take the ball on and create scores. Glen not having to play Kilcoo in a final is to their advantage. Semi-final is 50-50. Glen, I think, will win Ulster this year. Just wanted to throw that comment in there because, look, it's an interesting comment, to be fair, because, it is 50-50 going into that game, and it's going to be such an exciting game, Waddy Graham's Glen versus Kilcoo. Like, really, really looking forward to previewing that game and discussing that game in more detail, because you've got the experience of Kilcoo having come through Ulster before. Like, obviously the Johnsons in there, the Brannigans in there, like a set way of playing. They know how to get results, very good as a team. And then you've got Waddy Graham's Glen, who have a tremendous amount of players, probably the best midfield pairing left in club championships in terms of Conor Glass and Emma Bradley in there. Kieran McFell, number 6, is brilliant ball carrier, brilliant at picking, a couple of passes in front of him, and just a really well-rounded side. So you've got probably, if you were to do a club football power rankings, as I said in one of my videos yesterday, like they'd probably be in the top 4 at least, and they're meeting in a semi-final, which is interesting. I wouldn't quite agree with Porrick there in terms of it's a better time to play Kilcoo in a semi-final. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really think it makes too much of a difference, to be honest. Maybe you might catch Kilcoo a little bit cold. Like Ramor United definitely gave them a couple of problems in that game. Maybe a better side would have punished them a little bit more. I'm not sure, but I still think Kilcoo, they'll have a game plan going into that. They'll know what they need to do. They'll know who they need to stop. And, they'll be very well aware of the threat that Waddy Graham's Glen have, and certainly maybe a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't aboard the, Waddy Graham's Glen hype train just yet, because I hadn't seen enough of them. And, you hear hype about a lot of club teams before and hype about these kind of different teams. But, you're seeing the hype is definitely there. And when you're beating a Scottstown side as comfortable as they are, 118 to 12 points, I think it's a huge, huge statement without doubt. There's no Wi-Fi in Wicklow. Well, you said that, not me. Kilcoo will win 100%. Will 100% win Ulster. Mark my words, young Farrelly. There you go. That's maybe you will have a bit of a Cavan standoff between yourself and Pádraig Farrelly there or something. I don't know. I'm not going to 100% put my neck on the line and say one team is going to win over the other. I mean, I will give a prediction when the time comes around, but it's just such a hard one to call. Like that could be extra time penalties. It really could, without doubt. I suppose we'll move on anyway, and we'll have a look at the Connacht Club Football Championship. Knockmore, they got a victory, 10 points to 8 over Tourlestrane. I mean, this was a bit of a scare for Knockmore. I didn't see the game, but I was keeping an eye on the What's the Score app, and you were looking at the score and you were thinking, Jesus, Tourlestrane have this in the bag here. I think they might actually go on to win the game because it was fairly low scoring. I think after 45, 46 minutes, Tourlestrane had a 2-point lead. Knockmore had only scored 5 points up until then. And then they went on a bit of a rally late on. They outscored Tourlestrane 5 points to 1 in the, I suppose, in the closing stages. And that was, the difference in the end, a huge result, a huge win for Knockmore. A test, without doubt, coming through, a very spirited Tourlestrane side. Like, you have to give them a lot of credit because, it's been a long time since a Sligo-based team came through a Mayo-based team. And, I was speaking earlier in one of my previous videos or whatever about Balnamore, Sean O'Heslins of Leitrim and the effort that they put up to Mount Belly and Moylock. And, it does go to show that the club championships are just far more fascinating and entertaining than the county championships at the minute. Maybe that can change further down the line, but when you see Mayo going up against Sligo in the Connacht Championship and absolutely ripping them to shreds, but in this game you see Tourlestrane minutes away from pulling off a shock against Knockmore. And I suppose looking at some Knockmore scorers there, Kevin McLaughlin with 2 points, Shane McHale with a point, Aidan Orme with a point, Conal Dempsey with 2 points in there as well, Peter Naughton with 3 points. So, for Knockmore, a big win in the end. And I think from what I read from a match report in RTE was the bench of Liam Durkin and Sean Rutledge made a big difference. And when I watched Knockmore against Garrymore actually in the Mayo Club Senior Football Championship semi-finals, they were the two players that made a big difference as well. And although they didn't score coming off the bench in this game, again, a big, big difference and a big, big win. But, you have to give credit to Tourlestrane, and we'll throw some of their scores on screen there as well so you can have a look. A couple of different notable scores in there from a Tourlestrane point of view. And look, they would have taken confidence from that performance. I'm sure when they come into the Connacht Club Championship now next year, because they'll probably come through Sligo again. They're very, very dominant. A lot to work on, a lot of young players coming through. So certainly a lot of positives from a Tourlestrane point of view. And bit of a wake up call for Knockmore in some ways because I think a lot of people having them as dark horses for the All Ireland and whatnot. And I'd still have them thereabouts, but I think this result proves that you just can't be making, you can't be betting on anything because you could be proven wrong, in a game that you would be least expecting. The JMac podcast says, me and Farrelly will have a dance off to see who wins Ulster. I'd gladly pay for that, gladly. Maybe you can put on Ulster GAA TV or something like that. That would be a fun one. There is a few counties who have better club teams than the county teams. And that's exactly the point, isn't it? I think it's very easy to look at the club from that specific county and think, oh sure, because they're from that county and because they have so and so in their team, they'll win. But as we've seen with multiple club results, it really is wide open. And it would take a brave man to predict who's going to win the All Ireland. I mean, you have your obvious favourites or the teams that you would look at as contenders, and rightly so, the likes of Kilcoo and Waddy Graham's Glen and Kilmacud Crokes and whatnot. But it would take a brave man to put a lot of money on a team winning the All Ireland anyway. That's for definite. And there was one surprise result that definitely surprised me, and that was Shelmaliers beating Naomh Martin. They won by a scoreline of 2-6 to 1-7. I certainly talked the talk about Naomh Martin coming into this game. Haven't seen them against Rathvilly scoring, I think, 2-16 in that game. You know, with players like Samuel Roy and experience of JP Rooney and whatnot. Keep earning there as well. I would have expected them to come through Shelmaliers of Wexford. I mean, I don't know a lot about Shelmaliers of Wexford, but, you know, when you look at the talent that Naomh Martins have and coming through loud and obviously getting a big victory over Rathvilly as well. But, you know, this again just shows that, you know, you can't really be predicting anything in the club championships because you just don't really know what's going to happen. And I was keeping an eye on this game on the What's the Score app as well. You know, from first glance, you were like, yeah, Naomh Martins are going to comfortably come through this. They were leading, I think, 1-4 to a point after about 10 to 15 minutes. But then 2-4, and, you know, an unanswered 2-4 either side of the interval from Shelmaliers got them the victory. A huge victory in there as well for Shelmaliers. And, you know, fair play to them. Big win for them. They'll go on and play Naas up next. So big win for them. And for Portarlington, that was a big win for them as well. They came through St. Lomans, 114 to 112. You know, and a bit of hype around Portarlington at the minute, of course, as well. You know, obviously coming through Laois for the first time in quite a long time for them as well. You know, and coming up against the St. Lomans side that have a tremendous amount of talent in there as well, like John Heslin and Fola Eireann is a good up-and-coming player at the minute as well. So for Portarlington to get the victory, huge. And they scored 1-6 to a point in the opening 15 minutes and then just managed the game from there on in. St. Lomans had a bit of a late comeback. But Portarlington, from what I read anyway, has done enough to see the game out. And they'll go up next against Kilcoo Crokes. And Kilcoo Crokes, I obviously done a match reaction after that game as well, so I won't go into too much detail about them. But there was an interesting tweet I had here, so we'll just get it up on the screen if we can here. Or maybe I forgot to add it. Oh, here we go. Kilcoo Crokes are an efficient team, and Paul Mannion an obvious star player, but on the evidence of their semi-final and final in Dublin, and this game v Wolftones, I just don't see them winning the All-Ireland. Yeah, I mean, an interesting assessment there from Paddy Moran there. I mean, Kilcoo Crokes didn't look brilliant against St. Jude's, but they done enough to win the game. They were great in large parts against Ballyhale and St. Enda's in the semi-final. They were, you know, I thought they were good enough against Wolftones, to be fair. I thought they managed the game very, very well. And obviously, when you have a player like Paul Mannion in your ranks, I mean, you're always going to be major contenders, not just for the club championship, but when he plays for Dublin are, you know, favourites to win All Ireland's, Leinster titles and whatnot. So look, I think Darragh Mullen looks like a good player in there. Hugh Kenny as well. I think they're so much greater than any individuals in my opinion. I think Paul Mannion is such a big star that he's such a hard player to mark, because you've seen in the game against Wolftones, like, he's dropping more deeper and you think, oh, well, he's not going to hurt you from 40 yards or so, but then he'll score an absolute wonder score, or he'll pick out a brilliant pass for one of the forwards in front of him. So, you know, there's so much that man can do, and there's so much players in addition for that Kilcoo Crokes side that you would still look at them as contenders, in my opinion. They might get caught. We'll get on to Naas in a minute, who, I mean, they had a resounding win over Blessington. They won 4-11 to 1-7. Blessington, who beat Mullinachta in the last round of the Leinster Club Senior Football Championship. They won that game, having conceded 1-5 to no score after about 27-28 minutes. They then went on an incredible rally in the second half, ended up scoring 1-7 to no reply. But this was a huge win for Naas, you know, and look, Naas are they're another side that's gone under the radar a little bit in many ways. Obviously got that late dramatic win in the game versus in their last win against Tullamore. And again, a very resounding victory in this game with the likes of Derrygonnelly coming off the bench. Once again, getting on the score sheet. Luke Griffin, Brian Kane, getting on the goal sheet as well. So they have a tremendous amount of firepower within their team, and they're certainly a side that's going under the radar. And they'll play Shelmaliers in the semi-finals, which Shelmaliers, that was a huge victory for them. Big victory for them over Naomh Martin, as we said before. But for a side like Naas, I mean, they're looking very, very good. 4-11, to be scoring in a club game is extremely, extremely impressive stuff. And as I said before, with some of the talent that they have in their ranks of Derrygonnelly and some of the other players, I think they could go on a run, and you would fancy them right now to get the better of Shelmaliers in that semi-final. And who knows, like, they could be the team to maybe catch Kilcoo Crokes in the final if Kilcoo come through Portarlington. So there's a lot on the line, and I suppose there's going to be a lot of trills and spills between now and when the club championships wrap up, you would have to say so. And for Naas, progressing on, huge win. And just looking at some of the results in Munster very, very quickly there. So there was Newcastle West got a win over the Nor in the Munster Club Senior Football Championship, 2-point victory, 8 points to 6. Eireann beat Knockmore Castleiney 2-11 to 12 points. The Knockmore Castleiney story slows down for now. Out of the Football Club Championship, they have the Hurling Club Championship game coming up next week against Ballyhale. I mean, this game was probably the more winnable of them two, if I'm being perfectly honest. But look, you can't fault them after what they've done in Tipperary, and the fact that side haven't, all these other teams that we're mentioning here have had a week break before their matches. Knockmore haven't had that because the majority of the players on their side are also playing hurling. So they haven't had that week's break, or they haven't had that extra time on the training pitch maybe that other teams have had. And look, I was having a look at the score as well and seeing some of the highlights and whatnot, and it looked like the Knockmore story was going to roll on for a certain degree there, because there were 3 points down going into the final couple of minutes. Who else but John McGrath, John McGo, whatever we want to call him, in injury time, kicks a free, 9 points apiece. It goes to extra time. And you're thinking, this is it again. Here we go again. Knockmore Castleiney are going to get over the line, and they're going to, be the difference. In terms of, they seem to get better as these games go on. They seem to get better in extra time. But a couple of goals there from Mark McInerney and Aaron Fitzgerald getting on the goal sheet for Eireann. They come through the test of Knockmore Castleiney to progress on into the Munster Club semi-finals. Eireann, they'll be playing St Finbarrs of Cork. I mean, that'll be a tough one for either side. And I mean, St Finbarrs would probably be the favourites, but Eireann have got a good couple of players, like I said before. Mark McInerney, Darren O'Neill is in there as well. So no given there for St Finbarrs, and given the fact that it's the first time that Finbarrs have come through Cork in a couple of years there, so that'll be an interesting one. And Newcastle West, as I said, they got the victory over the Nor, 8 points to 6, and they'll be facing Austin Stacks in the semi-finals, because Austin Stacks are winners of the Kerry Senior Football Championship for the second time in 21 years, their first since 2014. Kieran Donaghy, at 39 years of age, is doing it again. I mean, his the Knockmore Castleiney story is one of the great club stories of 2021, but I think the Kieran Donaghy story might eclipse that if Austin Stacks keep winning and keep, imagine going all the way to an All-Ireland final and winning an All-Ireland. I mean, that would be an extraordinary story for Kieran Donaghy. I don't know if Kieran McGeeney of Armagh will be too happy, and I don't know if he'll allow that or what way they'd work that, especially with the fact that, pre-season competitions start in January. So I'm sure, Kieran McGeeney will want his second-hand man to be there for those competitions and for preparation for the National League and Division 1. But, I mean, to get this victory, 13 points to 10, I thought was impressive stuff. David Moran was injured before the game for Kerins O'Rahillys, so that's obviously a huge setback from them. But for Stacks, they have the players in there, and they have the quality, and they have the talent. We've seen it before, and they've obviously come through some tough tests in the likes of East Kerry, South Kerry, St. Brendan's Board, and not to forget as well, they won the other club championship in Kerry. They beat Kenmare Shamrocks in the final. Kenmare Shamrocks of the likes of Sean O'Shea in there. So they seem very good at shutting out teams. They seem very good at like preventing goal opportunities. They don't seem to be conceding much in a lot of their games. It's not great entertainment. It's not great to watch. It's probably not great viewing. But they're getting the results and they're getting the job done. And Dara O'Brien, Michael O'Gara in midfield, and Kieran Donaghy chipping away with the odd score here and there is impressive. And I believe he was even picking up Tommy Walsh towards the end of the game when Tommy Walsh came off the bench. So, I mean, that's quite a story, isn't it? Him picking up Tommy Walsh. So like he can play almost anywhere on the pitch at times, which I think is what makes him so versatile in many ways. The JMac podcast coming in there. Did you mention Paul Mannion's left peg? Yeah, Aaron, top class kid. Surely the Dublin juggernaut can afford his services. AIG and a couple of Euro references in there. We all know what he means there. But yeah, I did speak about Paul Mannion a little bit. All right, I don't want to speak too much about Kilcoo Crokes because I did make a video on them yesterday. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure Dublin can work something out here to get him back in the side. I'm sure something can be arranged. I'm not implying what you're implying, but I'm sure something can be arranged there for him to come back in, because when you have a player as good as him, it's ridiculous really if he's not involved with the Dublin county panel. But I don't really know. Like, there seems to be a bit of a standoff maybe between the club and the county. Robbie Brennan's coming out saying he's definitely not playing. And, when Paul Mannion gets asked in interviews, he's not ruling it out, but he's not saying he will, he won't. So don't really know. But I think the longer that Kilcoo Crokes stay in the All Ireland Club Championship, I think the less likely it is for him to come back. I think with pre-season competitions coming back in January, the Dublin County panel or Dublin management of Dessie Farrell, they'll want to have their team. They'll want to, they'll be picking players. And as we've seen with Dublin down the years, no one individual is bigger than the county. And you only have to look at Bernard Brogan towards the end of his career, wasn't getting game time. I mean, he was suffering with injuries, but he got no magical send off or anything like that. Stephen Cluxton opts out of the panel, will move on. Like multiple other players, Jeremy Connolly, whatnot, when they retire, they just move on. The Dublin machine moves on, and they'll try find an adequate replacement or something that could work. But given what we seen last year, it would be crazy if we didn't have Paul Mannion. So we'll see what happens there. But getting back to this game anyway, we're going a bit off topic there. Austin Stacks progressing through in the end, 3-point victory over Kerins O'Rahillys. So a big win for them, no doubt about it. And like what I said in previous videos, you can't sleep on Austin Stacks. Like you can't rule them out. And we'll get a couple of scores on the screen there as well. Michael O'Gara with a point, Joseph O'Connor with a point as well, Fiachan Mangan with a point, Brendan O'Sullivan on the score sheet there as well, Kieran Donaghy with a point from a mark, and Dara O'Brien with 6 points, 5 of which were from frees. And for Kerins O'Rahillys, you had Cormac Coffey with a point in there, Jack Savage with 6 points, 4 of which were from frees, Barry John Keane with 2 points, and Connor Hayes with a point as well. So big victory for Austin Stacks. They march on into the... Oh, we'll get back to that in a few minutes. Someone ringing me there, but good win for Austin Stacks anyway. 3-point victory for them. Moving on, St. Thomas 3-point victory over Clarinbridge, 20 points to 17. We'll discuss the hurling action briefly here. We'll finish up on the hurling action, and I know good man Buff Egan, he was at the game as always. Some of Buff Egan's snaps and whatnot. I mean, look, sometimes you might hate him, you might love him, but you can't deny he does a lot for the game. And we'll actually get, I suppose, a few Snapchats of him at the game. So
here in Pearse Stadium for the Galway hurling final, St. Thomas's, they're going for 4 in a row against Clarinbridge, and I think St. Thomas is going to win today. They're a very good side. Nice crowding. I don't know what's wrong with Galway GAA. Starting a county final at 1 o'clock in the afternoon every other county final all over the country are on at 2 and 3 o'clock. Bloody crazy. Inside now. Oh, great catch! Great catch! That is outstanding hurling by the cornerback. No, come on, put it over. Put it over. Take him on. Smith some point. And gone in, gone high. Yes, O'Rahilly score. Great score. Wonderful. The defending so far by Clarinbridge has been top class. Every ball that has come up, out, they said. Here comes St. Thomas again now. Where's the marking? Oh, Burke again, Darragh Burke. Did he foul that ball? Darragh Burke. I make out he fouled that ball. It's gone in and gone over the bar. I'd say that was a foul. 3-point lead. That's Burke's second. Oh, for God's sake, that should be a free out. What the hell is that referee looking at? He's running around there and he's heading him like a Spanish omelette. High ball now. Comes loose. Full forward has it. Bad ball. Come on now. Brennan opening the shoulders. Is it going to go over? Is it going to go over? Yes, it is. It is over the bar. That was a colossal point. A colossal point. Half time in the Galway hurling final. St. Thomas is leading 10 points to 9. Very good game. Best man in the field. Oisin Salmon cornerback. He's doing untold. Oh no, Conor Cooney again. Conor Cooney. Over the bar. 5-point lead. Could be over now. All over. And St. Thomas has won in a Burke. He was superb. Look at the passion in his face. Look what it means to him. 4 in a row for St. Thomas's. And the man of the match award goes to Conor Cooney. He was strong, powerful and accurate. And he's definitely going to the moon. To the moon.
So yeah, that was a big win in the end for St. Thomas, a 3-point victory. They march on into the Connacht. Well, of course, there is no Connacht Club Senior Hurling Championship, so they move straight into the All Ireland Club Senior Hurling Championship semi-final. So big win for St. Thomas, and yeah, as you would have seen there, some of Buff Egan's Snapchats at the game. Loved the Spanish omelette reference, by the way. Very, very impressive stuff, it must be said. Ballyhale Shamrocks. They march on as well in the Leinster Club Senior Hurling Championship. 6-point victory, 22 points to 16. I was watching a bit of the first half of this game on BO Sport. I was kind of keeping an eye on it. And it was looking like Ballyhale Shamrocks were going to win this one comfortably. It was looking like they were going to absolutely, blitz Mount Leinster Rangers and sort of show why they are the top dogs in hurling at the minute. TJ Reid, who recently got married, obviously coming back into the side, hitting a couple of wonder scores, and Owen Reid in there as well, Owen Cody, Evan Shefflin, a familiar name in it at defence, was doing a good bit of work. But Mount Leinster Rangers came roaring back into the game. To be fair to them, they were looking really good. They certainly had a couple of notable scores late on in the second half. So I think from a Mount Leinster Rangers point of view, like with Dennis Murphy hitting 12 points, Richard Cody contributing with a point in there as well, and Ted Joyce, who came off the bench, got a score as well. So, they'll take a bit of confidence from the game. I mean, obviously they're knocked out now, but, maybe with the fact that, Ballyhale had a very tough test in the Kilkenny final against O'Loughlin Gaels. O'Loughlin Gaels, very good club side in Kilkenny. They had a tough test. It was a tough game, and they had to work their way through it. And similar in this game now as well. So these tough tests, it could help them further along down the line, or maybe they're not as dominant as what we think. We'll have to wait and see. St. Ryan is of Offaly are up next for them. So I mean, that will be an intriguing one coming up in the semi-finals. You've Kilmacud Crokes going up against Clough Ballycolla in the other semi-final. So yeah, big win for Ballyhale Shamrocks, 6 points in the end over Mount Leinster Rangers. Mount Leinster Rangers closing in. You know, if there had been an extra 10 to 15 minutes, maybe they might have pulled it back and won the game. But a big win, you'd have to say, for Ballyhale Shamrocks. So yeah, look, listen, I think we'll wrap this up here anyways. Yeah, cheers anyone who left any comments or tuned in. And as I said at the start of the video there was a comment coming in there from Sean Byrne Football Channel. Are you going to be talking about more soccer, more on Irish Eireann? Yeah, that's I set up a second YouTube channel, as I said before. I'm going to be speaking more about other sporting related topics on that channel. So if you want a bit or if you want a bit more of me in your life, then go over there and check out the channel. I'll certainly link it down in the description down below for some of you lads to check it out. And that's the channel there at the minute. So yeah, if you could check that out, it would be very much appreciated. And of course, we're going to keep the content coming on this channel, keep the videos coming, and keep the some county previews as well coming up now in the next week for the 2022 inter-county season. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned for all those videos. My name is Aaron, and I'll see you all in the next one.